you can use our system for basically 3 types of procedures. You can use our scope, our fluid. You could use a reusable scope, our fluid. You could use our scope, a hanging bag. What I'm telling you is there are multiple IFUs built into this controller. So one of the questions I get most often is, this isn't engaging, I don't have a picture, something along those lines. It's because you've started setting your system up before you chose your IFU. So my recommendation when you're setting up the waste bag, just get into the habit of at the same time choosing your procedure. It's the first one that's highlighted, it's just a matter of hitting the forward arrow one time. So then the system knows which IFU to check your work off of, and you'll get your fluid, you'll get your image, you'll get everything. So that's one thing I find has happened a number of times. Another thing is the fluid cassette. You have to let it, like, you want to keep pressure on it while it locks. It only takes a couple seconds, but just keep it engaged while it locks so all 4 of those little prongs are seated properly. If one of them pops out, which just happened in New Albany earlier this week, then they won't pass prime. So if you're in a situation where a surgeon can't pass prime, there are 2 times that'll happen. There's no water whatsoever getting to the scope, so you don't see any water coming out of the tip of the scope, and you get an error that says can't pass prime. You want to come over here, first check this. Well, first check your clamps if you haven't opened your clamps. That happens. Make sure your clamps are open. If they are, then check this and make sure that all 4 of these are visually seated. Sometimes even if they look like they are, it's worth unlocking it and then just locking it back down, which at that point you'll have to hit the lock button and then you lock it back down. So those are the 2 things to look at if there's no water at all. If there is water, but the system still won't pass prime, that's the system saying, I don't have enough pressure to distend a uterus. So you figure out, like, why am I not getting enough flow? Almost always, it's the Baxter bags are twisted. Those bags just really, they're very soft, and so they tend to get kinked. If you spike them twisting like this, when you let go, it'll go whoop. So just look at that as your next troubleshooting. And that's if you got some water, but not enough to pass prime. Okay? If there's a bag on the scale, it has to be spiked and opened. Right? So don't spike, put 2 bags on, spike them both, but only open one. The system believes that there are 6 liters of fluid available, and so we'll continue to pull and pull and pull. It'll end up pulling air from the bag that was opened. It'll never tell you that it can't get, well, I guess it will eventually tell you, but it's just not an ideal. The potential of air getting into the line from that is not worth the risk. So if there's fluid, drop it, spike it. Open it. Anything else? Like, has anyone run into weird things they want to talk about? No?